Hello everyone, welcome to Literary Zeal. This is Tamosha and I'm going to start a new topic today. Today our topic is The Patriot by Robert Browning. It's a wonderful poem and it's there in the class 10 ICC syllabus. So students, please let's start with the class and I hope you would enjoy the session. So, before we delve into the topic, we must remember that it is written by one of the most famous poets, Robert Browning. And as the name comes, another thing that comes to our mind is the pattern that he has always followed, and that is dramatic monologue. Yes, Robert Browning is famous for usage of dramatic monologue in a very successful manner. And this poem is no exception to that, right? So this is also a dramatic monologue where the Patriot, as it goes by the title of the poem, starts about the lamentation, if not lamentation, but how he describes the entire story, everything has become topsy-turvy in his life in just 1 year. So that is what he is going to tell us. But before we start with the poem, I would like to tell you, Robert Browning was one of the famous poets of Victorian age, right? Victorian age, why do we call it so? I would like to tell you that at that time, the country was ruled by Queen Victoria. Therefore, the age is named as the Victorian age, and Robert Browning belongs to that particular age. So with this, we would start with the first stanza of the poem, The Patriot. It was roses and roses all the way, with myrtle mixed in my path like mad. The house roofs seemed to heave and sway. The church spires flamed. Such flags they had a year ago on this very day. So here we get a beautiful rosy picture that the Patriot is telling us. How it was roses and roses all the way. That means we can understand by this that people had come in many, there were many in numbers, and they all had come here to meet this Patriot, right? So we can get the glimpse that this Patriot was a really very popular character amongst all these people, right? His own countrymen. Therefore, people have come here with roses and myrtle mixed in path. Myrtle, I would tell you, what are these? These are very small shrubs that are done beautifully, in order to decorate a particular place. So the entire path from where the Patriot would be coming was decorated with myrtle, and it was full of roses. People were holding it in their hands. Some rose petals the path was covered with. So this is what we get, a beautiful imagery how the scenery must have been. The house roof seems to heave and sway. Here I would like to tell you that you must mention that this is a personification used here. The poetic device that is used is personification. Why is it so? Now, as we know, house is a non-living thing, but still the terms heave and sway. Sway means to move in a very gentle and slow manner, right? And heave means the way we heave a sigh of relief, like that. So here, as if the house roofs are heaving and swaying. That means, of course, the house roof cannot move on its own, but because it is filled up with so many people, there is a huge crowd of people over there, and that is why the way they are moving and swaying, it is looking as if this house roofs are all swaying and heaving. So people are jostling with each other just to get a glimpse of the Patriot. You can understand what celebrity like popularity he had. I'm saying had, I'm saying in past tense, because this entire thing we can understand that it is the poet is talking about a year ago, as it is mentioned in the last line of the first stanza. The church spires flamed, such flags they had. Here flame, see, flame is such a term that is associated with fire, right? We say, for fire we say it is inflammable and terms like that. But here the poet is using it in a very beautiful manner in order to show that the popularity, the love of these people towards this patriot was like, it's burning. It's like fire-like sensation they had. They were crazy. They were mad for this person, for this the speaker. And therefore, church spire, I would tell you, the uppermost portion of the church. You must have followed that how the church's constructions are always made with a very sharp uppermost portion, right? So that is what is filled up with flags. Now we don't know what flags are they, but yes, we can assume that the flags are related to the patriot. So the way you have seen when many other in cricket matches or any other very popular matches, we see all the fans, they are all cheering for their footballer or cricketer with the big flags, right? So many things are, good things are written about him in that flags, the posters. So that is how the church spires are all decorated. So people are really cheerful to see the narrator, so see the patriot, the speaker. Here the poet and the speaker might not be the same person. They are not same person, might not be. So a year ago on this very day. So this was the scenario just 1 year ago. It's just a matter of 1 year, that is 12 months only. Let's move on to the next stanza. The air broke into a mist with bells. The old walls rocked with the crowd and cries. Had I said, good folk, mere noise repels, but give me your sun from yonder skies. They had answered, and afterward, what else? Such beautifully it is described the popularity, that the appeal that the patriot had towards the people. That means the air broke into a mist with bells. That means mist with bells, here ringing of bells is synonymous with cheerfulness, joyfulness, everything positive, right? So here he is saying that people are celebrating his coming. People are celebrating the patriot's arrival by ringing bells. That is a sign of happiness. The old walls rocked with the crowd and cries. Here cries, of course, is not a negative term, but here the poet wants to say how people are, they're just shouting and screaming to get a glimpse of the patriot, or to have just to talk to him or to say something to him. We can understand it's a completely beautiful scenery where the patriot is really on demand. Okay. Now, had I said, good folk mere noise repels. Now the poet, the patriot is comparing his popularity with that thing, that good folk means, of course, here good folk means the commoners, all the people who all have gathered to see him. If I had asked them, mere noise repels, but give me your sun from yonder skies. Now, here another poetic device that is used is symbolism. Here, sun is symbolic of glory, immortality, and above all, power, supreme power. We all know, we are all aware about the supreme power of the sun, right? And without the sun, there is no existence of the earth. Therefore, and of course, it is immortal. There is no destruction of it. Therefore, here sun is symbolic of everything positive, everything powerful, immortality, glory. So the patriot is saying that such was my popularity, that if I had asked from the sun of their life, that means the most important thing of their life, the most important person of their life, if I had asked for it from them, they would have readily given it. Not only that, their answer would have been, they had answered, and afterward, what else? That means, what else do you want apart from this? We are ready to give, or maybe they have already given it to the patriot, and then they are ready. They are not ending their dedication over here, but they are stretching their arm again, saying that, what else do you want? So such was his popularity, and he could ask from them anything and they would readily give it back. Next, let's move on to the third stanza. Alack, it was I who lit at the sun to give it my loving friends to keep. Not man could do, have I left undone. And you see my harvest, what I read? This very day, now a year is run. Here, suddenly, the tone of the poem shifts. From a very merry, cheerful, joyful image, we suddenly come back to a very gloomy, right? Gloomy image, where suddenly the poet here starts with an expression alert. That means something sad, or there is a sense of hopelessness. It was I who leaped at the sun. Here, students, I would like to mention the biblical, the mythological reference, the Greek mythology of Daedalus and Icarus. Many of you must have learned about it already. That Daedalus and Icarus, they were imprisoned in an island where there was only sea everywhere and nothing else. And then finally, when Daedalus could make wings for him and his son Icarus, and they start flying in order to flee from the prison, what happens? The wings was made up of feathers and wax, right? So Daedalus had advised Icarus not to fly too high, because in that case the extreme warmth of sun would melt the wax, and that would cause their death. Because if the wax melts, then the wing will fall down. It will be torn apart, and they will be exactly down the sea. So that is what had happened here. Icarus did not listen to the advice, and he started soaring so high that there came a point where the heat of the sunlight finally melted the wax, and Icarus dies in the sea, right? So this is here we get that exactly that reference, where the Patriot is saying that it was I who leaped at the sun. That means the way Icarus had gone very soared high, and ultimately he died, it caused his untimely death. Similarly, I leaped at the sun. Leaped as in jumped at the sun, right? To give it my loving friends to keep. That means in order to save my friends, in order to for doing good of my own friends, for the goodness of theirs, I have leaped. I have leaped somewhere which is beyond my control. Not man could do have I left undone. So here I did not leave anything untouched, and you see my harvest, what I reaped this very day, now a year is run. And whatever I have reap is, that means after sowing, what we do, we reap. As it goes by the proverb, as you sow, so shall you reap, right? So what I reaped, and this is what my harvest. That means what I have done, I am getting back the result. Harvest as in the consequence of whatever I have done, the result that I have of my own deeds, right? For that, this is what I am getting. This very day, now a year is run. So we'll move to the next stanza in order to get a very clear expression of that. Let's see, what does he say? There is nobody on the housetops now, just a palsied few at the window set. For the best of the sight is, all allow, at the shambles gate. Or, better yet, by the scaffold's very foot I trow. So here the poet Robert Browning throws a sharp irony at the readers. He says that the poet is saying, the Patriot is saying here that there is nobody on the housetops now. So how you can see stanza 4 is in complete contrast with stanza 1. The stanza 1 starts with the house roofs they heave and sway. The old walls are rocked with cries and crowd, everything, right? This imagery has a complete contrast image in stanza 4. There is nobody on the housetops now, so it's all empty. Just a palsied few at the window set. Palsied as in the ones who are affected with the disease of palsy. So these are the some of the old men, those who cannot go out of their house. They are stuck in their house, and that is why they are sitting here. They are not sitting here out of their love towards the Patriot. They are sitting here because they have no other option left with them. So only these people are there at the window set to see me now. Otherwise, the entire place is empty. For the best of the sight is all allow at the shambles gate. Why people are not here? Because right now, no event is going on over here. Where is the event going on? At the shambles gate. That means at the slaughterhouse. That's a shock to us, right? Why slaughterhouse? What is the Patriot talking about? We will soon get to know. Here he says that people, that means people's mind, it is so fickle-minded. It keeps on moving from one place to another so rapidly that they don't like to stay in one place where nothing is happening. They always like to go to that place where something happening is going on. Some event is taking place. That is what people like the most. They don't like dull and where nothing is going on. This kind of places are not the ones where people gather, right? Therefore, at now I am eventless. I am useless. Therefore, nobody is here to see me. Where are they? They are at the slaughterhouse because there the event is going to take place. So, we would know which event is the Patriot talking about. Okay. Or better yet, by the scaffold's very foot I trod. Here he says that to make it better, to make a clearer understanding of the fact, he says that they are at the scaffold's foot. Scaffold is a structure usually made for the public execution of a criminal, right? That is why a scaffold is made. It's a wooden structure usually made outside a house or a tall structure, and over there we can understand that means some public execution is going to happen, right? Either he will be put to death or something like that. Therefore, we can get a clear idea that the Patriot is going to die very soon. And the people, the same people who had gathered with roses and myrtle and everything else in order to receive, welcome the Patriot, those same people have gathered over there at the shambles gate to see him die, right? Let's move to the stanza 5. I go in the rain and more than needs, a rope cuts my wrists behind. And I think by the feel of my forehead bleeds for they fling. Whoever has a mind stones at me for my years' misdeeds. Such a painful picture is given here in these lines. The Patriot says that I go in the rain, so he proceeds towards his death. And more than needs, a rope cuts my wrist behind. That means his hands are tied up. It's tied up with a rope, and it is tied up so tightly that it is cutting his flesh and blood is coming out. And I can feel, what is the line? I would just repeat. And I think by the feel of my forehead bleeds for they fling. So I can feel that since my hands are tied, I cannot use my hand to see what happened here. But I can feel that blood is coming out, and that's why it's giving a tickling sensation. Tickling sensation when, what happens when you run a lot, when sweat is coming from all over our face, we can feel, right? There is a slight tickling sensation. That is what the Patriot can feel now. He is bleeding from his forehead. Can you just believe it? Why? The reason also he gives. For they fling, whoever has a mind, stones at me for my years' misdeeds. I bleed because people, those who still have an active mind, that means those who still understand what is going on and what is not, they are pelting stones at me. And therefore, I am bleeding. So a person, his hands are tied and people are pelting stones at him and he's bleeding. Can you just believe such a pathetic picture is given here? Here, the poet is throwing a sharp iron towards the readers, towards the volatile emotions of people. Totally volatile. It has got no permanency, right? It has got no permanence. It will just evaporate after a few days. The same people who were coming with roses and everything now are pelting stones. What has the patriot done? As he says here, that those who still have active mind, they are throwing stones at me for my years' misdeeds. Here, misdeeds is a very tricky term that Robert Browning has used. Now the patriot says that they are throwing stones at me because of my misdeed, because of my wrongdoings. But are they really wrongdoings? Is he really so much wrong in his judgment that he did such thing that people are throwing stones? Or it is the fickle-mindedness of people's mind that they change their mind so soon? The same thing what he did was good. These were termed as good deeds 1 year ago, and now they have termed it as misdeeds. So this is how their emotion shifts, right? That is what the poet is trying to make a point here. So, and here we come at the last stanza, which finally, gives a sense of relief towards the readers. So let's read. Thus I entered, and thus I go. In triumphs people have dropped down dead. Paid by the word, what dost thou owe me? God might question. Now instead, it's God shall repay. I am safer so. Such a lovely tone with which the poet ends the poem. He says that, thus I entered. So I entered at the shambles gate and I go. There is no, it is like that place where there is point of no return. I know I am not going to return after this. I am going to die forever. But on the second line again, he completely gives a different idea. In triumphs, people have dropped down dead. Here the patriot is talking about himself. He is saying, that means in my triumph, people have dropped me down dead. So basically the patriot is saying, I have won with my death. They could not defeat me. So my death here is synonymous to victory. It is a victorious death. So I am not defeated. Instead, I am triumphant over here. And that is what he says, that in triumphs people have dropped me down dead. Therefore, now I am worryless. People have punished me for something which I did correct. They thought it was misdeed. But no, it was not. I knew it was right. Therefore, there is victory in my death. I die a proud death, a peaceful death. Yeah, it is not peaceful because the way he is being tortured, the tortures that are inflicted upon him, that cannot be a peaceful death. But he knows his causes were right. So therefore, he has the peace of mind. And in the third line, as I told you in the beginning of this topic, that at the end of the poem, we get the idea of Robert Browning's religious belief, right? The philosophy of his life, we get the idea about it. And here is the line. The patriot thinks that once I go to heaven, God would ask me, paid by the world, what dost thou owe me? That means you are already punished by the world, right? So here I would mention one thing that he had said. The punishment by the people in the mortal world has purged him. So here we talk about purgation. What is that? I hope you all have, I don't know if you have come across this term or not. That means after a lot of torture, a lot of inhuman things, brutal things done to a person, when the person finally gets rid of it, when a person is finally, free from all these things, that is what purgation is all about. That means at that time, he is free. He is completely in a peaceful place. He has reached the peaceful abode where he is above everyone. So here, that purgation has happened to him when he reaches God, and God asks him that people have already punished you for what you have done, for something right that you have done. Therefore, I cannot punish you anymore. What else do you want from me? God might question. Now instead, it is God shall repay. I am safer so. So he knows that I am in the safe hands. If I am not guilty in the eyes of God, then no matter what people think, no matter what everyone else thinks, I know in the hands of God I am pure, I am innocent. Therefore, I would reach the safe abode. That is why he ends the poem with a very optimistic note. It is God shall repay. That means now it is the responsibility of God. What will he do to me? Therefore, I need not worry anymore. And then he ends, I am safer so. So I am in a completely safe place. So you can understand how beautifully Robert Browning here, it's like, see, I would just tell you one thing. This poem is a scathing critique of public opinion and fickleness of the general public. So do you realize that? It's a scathing critique that how futile human emotions are, how untrustworthy human feelings are, their opinions are, that they can shift from here to there within no time. Therefore, it's a scathing remark. The entire poem is a scathing remark on the entire human race and then their futility of their emotion. So with this here he ends the poem. The fickleness is vividly demonstrated in the poem, and it also highlights the fleeting nature of glory and greatness. Very, very important point what I said right now. This also points out to the fact that glory, power, these are not permanent. These all are temporary, and there will come a time when we all will be above all these things, right? Therefore, there is no point of boasting or being proud of all these things, isn't it? Therefore, it highlights the fleeting nature of glory and greatness. So glory, greatness, these things do not stay forever. There is always a ending point to all these things. Therefore, what is this all about? What is this pride? What is this boastfulness all about? We all have to die one day. So let's die a peaceful death, and we should all live together in harmony, in a peaceful manner. Why fight with each other? Why such corruption? Why such injustice? So with this, he ends the poem. I hope you liked it. Now I would talk about the poetic device. Already I have mentioned some, or mostly I have already mentioned during the poem, but still I would like to say the poetic device that is used in this line. Alliteration is used where we can see myrtle mixed, we can see M sound is being repeated, crowd and cries, K sound is being repeated consecutively, dropped down dead, the D sound has been repeated. Therefore, it is alliteration, the poetic device used here. Here, another line, rose. This symbolizes people's love and affection towards him. So you can say it's a metaphor, because here with the help of roses, the comparison is made. The way people show their love, it is being compared with bringing flowers and roses for him, right? And as I already have said, the sun is a symbol of immortality, glory and power. So that is another very important aspect and poetic device that has been used here. Okay. So personification, I have already mentioned here that the house roofs heave and sway. Here, of course, it's a non-living thing, but the traits of the living beings have been associated with it. Therefore, the poetic device used here is personification. Okay, so these are all different poetic devices that are used here. So with this, we come towards the end of this topic and end of this video. Again, we will be back with some more interesting topics in my next videos. So keep watching, and thank you so much.